Welcome back, everyone. Today's the day. The 2016 Stanley Cup Finals will be underway in however many hours.
Definitely under 48 now. I think Monday's almost upon us. We've got 20 minutes till Monday as of recording this.
Oh, so. You just gave it away that we're recording this before Wednesday.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
So since we're dropping this straight fire playoff prediction
our
on Wednesday.
Our mixtape.
I was hoping that maybe we could just play into it, but apparently we don't want to pretend.
Fine,
What if I say you're not like the others? Okay, sorry, don't want Foo Fighters to call out copyrights
hopper.
on me.
That's what I'm a time hopper.
There we go. Well, anyway, now it's too late for introductions. Alongside Connor Keith, I'm Nick Lanciani, and we're bringing to you the Down the Frozen River podcast once again. As I just mentioned, it's that time of the year once the Stanley Cup playoffs begin. So we're going to talk to you right now about every matchup of the first round, which is completely factual, and then we're going to get into the completely hypothetical, so stay with us here. In the Central Division, the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild will be facing one another. First time that these two teams have met up, of course, Dallas being the former Minnesota North Stars, Minnesota Wild being, the Minnesota Wild since about 1998, technically. I know.
We're rounding.
But still, first time that these two teams have matched up, first time in a long time that a team has met its former team.
That's an interesting stat.
What do you have going on here in your head heading into this series?
Basically, I don't think that this is going to be much more than a bump in the road for the Stars. If it becomes one, then that definitely affects my bracket, I think. But, Dallas won the season series 4-1-0. Minnesota couldn't even get them to overtime. They've got such a good offense that it really, like I said, it shouldn't be much of an issue. Minnesota, they've done well enough to get into the playoffs. They did well enough to hold off Colorado. But going up against Dallas 4 to 7 times in a row, whatever that ends up being, I don't think they got enough in the tank to be able to suppress that offense. I know that Tyler Seguin is still kind of definitely
injured,
definitely iffy. But if it's just Jamie Benn alone, he should still be able to do what he needs to do to get the Stars on to the next round.
And I'm gonna have to agree with you there and say that, I see Dallas taking this in 5 games, and the Minnesota Wild, they always seem to win one every year in the playoffs.
Don't come back to the Blues last year.
But the thing...
Still not salty about that if you didn't tell.
Very salty over there.
That's right.
Anyway, the thing being that, unless it's the Colorado Avalanche, the Wild just can't put together enough W's against the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, they had a nice little hot streak, whatever month it was when they fired the coach.
Mike Yao.
Was it?
That was back in...
January or February?
I want to say January, but okay. I could be wrong. It
is
almost midnight.
They had a great run there. They had the great run at the end of the postseason, but they're entering the postseason kind of with their butts first right now. They're not entering playing their best hockey, and they're not going to take these two. These 2 off days aren't going to clean that up for them, in my opinion.
But hey, overall, good season for Minnesota. Great showing outdoors against the Chicago Blackhawks. I think if you're a Minnesota hockey fan, you have that to take home with you at the end of the day. Unfortunately, we don't see you advancing past the first round. Moving on, St. Louis Blues, Chicago Blackhawks. This one I'm going to let you do all the talking about.
Yeah, we already indicated, as usual, my
bias.
Preference. Okay, fine, bias, whatever.
But
that being said, any and all Blues fans that give us a listen, I'm leaning towards the Hawks in this one, although I'm hoping furiously against it.
Maybe they'll shun you now. Any all Blues fans that just listen to us will shun Connor.
Chicago won the season series, 2 wins and 3 overtime losses. I see this one being a very tight competition, though. This one could go both ways, but I am leaning towards Chicago. St. Louis plays a great defense, but I think really what it boils down to is Chicago has that guy named Patrick Kane. He's kind of good at hockey.
The first American Art Ross Trophy winner.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And, Vladimir Tarasenko definitely is good in his own right. But
good enough to be on my fantasy team.
Absolutely. That lost to me in third place today.
We'll find out tomorrow if they change any scoring. Right now I'm down by 1/4 point.
The problem is, as well, Chicago has just a lot more offensive weapons than St. Louis does. And I just don't see Seattle. What am I doing? St. Louis. I'm seeing an S word right now. Already looking towards football season, I guess. I don't see actually, it was the Mariners wearing those beautiful blue and gold jerseys today.
Connor's all sports.
All sports
24/7.
all the time. Yeah. But, okay.
365.
So, to go back to what we were saying, I apologize.
Blues
for
and the
flipping
Blackhawks.
off. Thank you. That's the one we're looking
Now
at
we're
here.
10 minutes into this thing. I'm
yeah.
kidding. We're almost 6 minutes into it. The listeners already stopped listening.
Mostly, though, it really boils down to the offenses, one not measuring up to the other, and I think Chicago has this one. In a long series, at least 6 games, I think, in my opinion, it could go a full 7.
I think 6 is a magic number. Blackhawks, series winner, 4-2. I mean, the Blues will be able to get 2 games, probably at home.
That's the way it always goes. So 2 straight in a row, and then 4 straight in a row.
But then
we'll see.
The Blackhawks will just overpower them by being the Blackhawks.
We'll see.
Moving on to the Pacific Division. The Anaheim Ducks taking on the Nashville Predators in round number 1. Ducks riding off some momentum off into the sunset for California, being, best team in Cali.
That's right.
The Predators being, a wild card team.
They're the best team in Tennessee.
That's good for them.
Yeah.
They're better than the Titans, right?
They're definitely better than the Titans. Probably
all sports all the time. So I'll start with this one first, just because, quite simply, Anaheim, this is the only sweep I have marked in front of... Actually, that's a lie. I have 2 sweeps. Surprise you in a few moments. But this is the only sweep in the first round that I see happening without a doubt. The Anaheim Ducks going to beat the Nashville Predators 4 games, hands down, bar none. The Ducks have everything going their way. The Predators have not had Pecorine playing up to his style, and without necessarily having a full solid defense, you can't just fall back on Philip Forsberg to be your only goal scorer.
Yeah, I agree.
There's some youth and inexperience.
Apologize.
No. I just wanted to say that there's some youth and inexperience that they have to have another year or two to really kind of get that synergy going. Now I'll hand it off to you.
Okay, sorry, I apologize. I like the Ducks a lot, as we will come to find out in a minute, or however many it actually ends up being. What really strikes me about Anaheim this postseason is their incredible special teams play. They are number 1 on the power play. They are number 1 on the penalty kill. That's incredible. Absolutely incredible in my opinion. And I think that they can ride that for a long way. We'll see how long. And just so you know, give them back their guy on defense and things don't slow down either. The defense ranks, I believe, 4th or 5th in the league. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's very strong, whatever the number is.
So it's good.
Yes. And it's always hard, and it's hard to tell too on the offense because they had such a slow start. You almost have to just take that out of the equation and see how many goals they actually scored in the same amount of time for everybody else. The Ducks team are on a great roll, really. Tonight's, quote-unquote tonight, Sunday's game against Washington isn't exactly a good gauge since Washington really wasn't trying their fullest. But I agree. I think Anaheim should have them. Maybe not 4. I don't know if I'm that gutsy yet, but if it goes past 5, I think I'm concerned.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't think Anaheim should struggle like you're saying.
Well, looking at the other matchup in the Pacific Division, if you're a fan of California hockey, then this one is just for you.
If you're not,
if you're a fan of Geico commercials, then this one is for you too, because of that one where they have the Kings fan, the San Jose Sharks fan. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, that's wasting time. The Los Angeles Kings have home ice against the San Jose Sharks. I'm sorry to disappoint San Jose Sharks fans. I sometimes like to side with you, but, I would love to see Joe Thornton win a Stanley Cup someday, but this is not his year. I think the youth of that team is not going to stack up to the soul-crushing Los Angeles Kings, ultimately, in a 7-game series. So it could go either way, ultimately. But I have the Kings pulling off the 4-3 series win on the San Jose Sharks just by the virtue of having, a solidified goaltender. The Sharks may or may not know if they're going to go with Jones or Reamer on any given night in this series. But the Kings know it's Jonathan Quick or we're going to be done. Or it's the end. The Kings also have some veteran presence in Milan Lucic, who's been part of, defining their identity this year as a powerhouse. and they have just kind of everything else going for them. So I think from one California matchup, we'll end up seeing another California matchup. And
Well,
Connor
you would have anyways.
seems to agree that California is going to see California, but he has a different opinion.
I do. This is our first one where we are of differing opinions.
Therefore, I hate you.
Oh, okay. Take that tone. To start off, San Jose won the season series 3-1-1. So however much water you think that weighs, or how much you ever think that weighs going into it. I mean, Sharks
Playoffs
like
are an
water.
entirely different season.
Yeah, it definitely is. Really, it boils down to, which I think it's very safe for us to assume, San Jose's offense against LA's defense. Both
Drew
of
Doughty
those-
for Norris?
They both play impeccably well, both sides of those teams, but I have San Jose winning both based on that season record, as well as just it's just a gut feeling. I think if it goes a long ways, San Jose can make some sort of miracle happen. I don't know. It's a gut feeling. There's a lot of these matchups that we're going to talk about tonight that I could definitely see going the other way. I could totally see LA winning, but I'm just feeling it. I don't really have an
You
answer.
agree to
for you.
disagree.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't have the stats, which is hurting me right now, but I just feel like the Sharks can make something happen. This season was not supposed to happen this way. I don't think for them.
Well,
And
for me,
I
it's,
think they can make the magic continue at least for another 7 games.
it's just that, based on what I have LA doing in the future rounds, I don't see San Jose as being able to do that.
And like I said, I totally respect. I mean, LA has way more experience. They have the seed. They have the home ice. They should win. I don't know. I'm just feeling it.
He's
I don't
feeling
know.
it.
I'm feeling it.
He's feeling the straight fire.
If it puts anything in parameters, if I was a gambler man, this wouldn't be the one I would be betting on in the Western Conference. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm feeling it. That's all I got for you. That's really as much analysis I've got for you on that one.
Hot takes.
Hot takes. That's right.
Metropolitan Division. The Washington Capitals and Philadelphia Flyers will be scoring off President's Trophy winners, wild card winners, division rivals. Long history between these two teams. Flyers came in 1967. Capitals came in 1974. Hockey history, hot takes. There you go. I've got the Capitals winning 6 games, 4-2 series total. I think the Flyers will be able to pull off a win here or there. Don't know who will be in net for that, but I know that they'll be able to battle because they've got some momentum going their way. Might not be the first game, might not be the second game, but they might be able to win one at home, lose one at home, win one on the road. What do you got here?
I think it's definitely safe to say that Washington's got the series. I mean, upsets happen all the time in the NHL. I don't think this is one of them. I am impressed, though, that you think Philadelphia's going to get 2 games. Just thinking about it as so much effort they've been putting into this last, we'll call it 2 months, that they've had to put, it's been the pedal to the metal for the last 2 months, we'll call it, for Philadelphia, and I just think they could be burned out, could be exhausted from those efforts. I know they're riding that high, but we're talking about the Washington Capitals here, a team that a lot of people back in August were predicting to win the Stanley Cup, and look here, it's April, and they've got the President's Trophy in hand and are looking to not even care who they're playing. They're just looking to steamroll through and looking for hardware. If Philadelphia gets, if they get 1, I think that's great for them, but I don't see them being too much of a threat to the Capitals this evening.
I'm looking at it straight from a momentum perspective because momentum is everything in the playoffs, and that has a lot to do with the next matchup. And the first round is where you find that team that's ultimately going to go win the cup and or be that competitive and really challenge the eventual Stanley Cup winners. Pittsburgh Penguins
Hold on, I've got
and
one
New
more
York
thing
Rangers.
for you before we jump there. I apologize. My argument against that is look what they did to St. Louis on Saturday. St. Louis was a team that came into that game with something to win and something to play for. And Washington decided to play that game and cause trouble, and they absolutely obliterated the Blues. A good hocky team. I don't know. I think the Capitals...
He says a good hockey. I mean, anyway.
I
have them
think
losing to the
the
Buckeyes,
Capitals are fully capable of flipping this switch back on Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day it is they start playing, and getting right back to Capitals hockey that we've come to expect this whole season.
So the Penguins and the Rangers. I have the Rangers winning 6 games. Here's why. If the Penguins don't get out of the gates, the Rangers will be able to track them down and, well, be the New York Rangers. I don't have the Rangers really going much further than that, but I just know that they have Henrik Lundqvist. They have a defense. They might not have an offense, but they play a game that's very low scoring most of the time, that if the Penguins' offense doesn't get going, goes in the favor of the Rangers. Connor has other things to say.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is another one we differ. I've got Pittsburgh winning. They come in super hot, ridiculously hot. Sidney Crosby has been killing it. The big question here, though, is goaltending, and we're not going to get an answer until, again, Wednesday or Thursday, whatever day that is they start.
Until puck drop of game 1.
Yeah, because Marc-Andre Fleury, he got hurt, and then Saturday's game against the Flyers, backup Matt Murray got hurt too, so now it's Zatkov, basically, and then Wilkes-Barre Scranton's goaltender. I mean,
or the guy that they found in
down the road, hanging out outside the stadium.
23 in section 301.
The guy's still waiting for Mellon Arena to come back to life or something. Yeah, I'm still sad about that.
You miss the Igloo, don't you?
I miss the Igloo a lot. Yeah.
We should have an entire podcast.
Are we gonna have a stadium bracket? Because I think I do have the Igloo going a long way. I do miss the Igloo.
I think you can get out of here with that.
But okay, seriously though, I think the Penguins can definitely take care of New York. If it goes a long ways, it could differ, like you're saying. I think the Penguins come out, they blitz the Rangers, they get in, they get out, they take naps for the last week of the first round. I just don't see New York being able to keep up with them, especially defensively, especially with Girardi and McDonough both going down, and we not knowing how that's going to go going into the playoffs. I think there's just too many holes. I don't want Lundqvist getting peppered. I think the Penguins are going to do just that.
In the Atlantic Division, the Florida Panthers take on the New York Islanders. I have the New York Islanders winning in 7. Here's why, Florida. Please don't get mad at me, Kevin Spacey. The Panthers are a young team. They're also a combination of youth and veteran experience that have been there, done that in just about every category of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But the Panthers don't have the synergy and the cumulative effort of qualifying for the playoffs, playing in the first round, experiencing this atmosphere in Florida. I think the New York Islanders will be able to at least challenge them, shake them around enough, and maybe be able to pull it off in Game 7.
Again, this is another one I totally respect what you're saying, but I disagree. I've got the Panthers winning this one. They won the season series 2-1-0. The Panthers are hard to predict. They play a beautiful game that does not align with the 29 other teams in this league. They have a ridiculously high shot percentage on very few shots fired, which is so intriguing to me. Luongo has been up and down this season. We obviously need to see how that pans out for them going into the playoffs. But I feel like the Panthers can do this even with lack of experience. I just like what they have to offer.
And then you also have the matchup of Steve Yzerman's current team and, well, Steve Yzerman's actual team. Steve Yzerman, GM of the Tampa Bay Lightning, going up against the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit, what do they have going for them?
Yeah.
I don't know. Tampa Bay, they have a lot of injuries going on for them. But I have the Lightning winning it in 5. That might be a little generous. I know last year went 7 games. But I still have Tampa winning at the very least, so if you're a Lightning fan, get excited for that.
This one is very, very, very tough to determine. They drew the season series 2-2-0. I like Tampa because all the injuries for them are on offense. That defense has been incredible with Ben Bishop in the back and Victor Hedman leading the team in blocks. They're the ones that are still healthy, and even if it's a bunch of close games, because of that, I think Tampa can do work in this series. Detroit's led by Mr. Larkin, who frankly doesn't have NHL playoff experience, and he will be overwhelmed.
Datsuk has it all done.
He does, and he'll be taking it to the KHL. It sounds like next season.
Well,
that'll be
another discussion topic sometime.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think they're going to lean hard on Ben Bishop, that's how we say that name, and Victor Hedman, and get themselves into the next round.
So rapid fire, back to the Western Conference. Central Division, round 2, I got Dallas and Chicago playing one another.
As do I.
I think Dallas will pull it off in 7 games.
7 games, okay. Dallas won the season series 4-1-0. Again, this is another one where I like them a lot.
On paper, it should be easy, but Blackhawks, when you get them going in the playoffs, that's why it's going to go 7.
Very true. The thing that frightens, I think, a lot of people is Dallas's defense. In the same turn, though, it's not anywhere near as bad as everyone wants to make it sound. So sort of a mix of both bags there. I just think that Dallas's offense should be enough to get past basically Corey Crawford, who didn't have a great game coming back from injury and has only had 1 game going into the playoffs after what is sounding like it was more and more like it was a concussion and not vertigo like they were previously telling us. I think they can put the pressure on Chicago offensively enough to just outscore them.
Pacific Division, I have Anaheim and LA in a matchup. I have LA taking it again in 7 games. Connor has Anaheim and San Jose.
I have Anaheim, San Jose, and I have the other LA team. They don't like being called that, but it's true, guys. I've got the Anaheim Ducks beating the San Jose Sharks in my bracket. Again, based on those special teams, it's ridiculous what those guys can do.
Some people. Anyway, back over to the Eastern Conference.
I'm a huge special team fan.
Metropolitan Division, round 2. I have Washington and the New York Rangers taking one another on. I think similar to last year, Washington will be drawn out to a 7-game series, but will come out on top. Here's why. Holtby versus Lundqvist, the matchup the NHL would ultimately want from a goaltending perspective. The new age, perhaps you could start considering him Marty Brodeur-esque in that he tied the record.
I was going to say, he got very close to it, didn't he?
I mean,
I guess he technically got there.
It's not the Verge anymore. We're in the face of a new goaltender, face of the league. Yeah, goalie reign, whatever you want to talk about, minus the cups, which might start coming if things fall in line. But the Holtby-Lundqvist matchup, the Ovechkin and Rangers matchup, the defenses of the two teams, I think this is going to be a good battle like we saw last year, and it'll just take 7 games. And unlike normally, where you see the Rangers kind of put down their Capital friends, the Capitals will come out on top.
As we discussed earlier, I have Pittsburgh beating New York, so I have Washington-Pittsburgh in my Eastern semis. It's another one, though. Washington is absolutely unstoppable. I think with Braden Holtby, they'll be able to shut down even the mighty Sidney Crosby and really the flaming hot Pittsburgh Penguins. And Pittsburgh should enter the offseason.
Flaming hot like Cheetos, huh?
That's right. Pittsburgh should enter the offseason very optimistic after what looked like it was going to be a terrible season. But Washington is just, they have their eyes on hardware this year.
Now to the other part of the Eastern Conference, where I have the New York Islanders matching up with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Lightning fans, you liked me before, but you'll probably hate me now. I have the New York Islanders winning in 6 games, and, it's nothing personal, really. It's just, injuries will catch up to the Lightning.
Absolutely.
Youth and experience. And the fact that they had a very long run to the Stanley Cup Final last year, and that, this will be how many months in a row of hockey, pretty much? Because they only had July off. But if you're a rookie or young guy playing in development camps, you might have had a little bit of July and August that you're doing things. I don't see it. I just don't see it from the Lightning this year in the playoffs.
We definitely are both on the same page in that the Tampa Bay Lightning will lose. I have the Florida Panthers, and I totally respect, though, what you're saying about the Panthers not having the experience. But if they get past New York, I think they get past Tampa Bay. They won that season series 4-1-0, Governor's Cups in hand. I know, very important stuff here. But with, again, just like you said, Tampa Bay's injuries are just, they're not going to be able to get past. I mean, getting past Detroit's one thing, getting past either Florida or New York is totally different. And I think
getting past a better matchup is another.
To keep us on the same page, though, whoever wins that Florida-New York matchup will be in the Eastern Finals. Will be. We're guaranteeing it. I am.
And the thing about that being that they don't stand a chance. But we'll go back to the West for a moment here. Western Conference Final, I have the Dallas Stars taking on the Los Angeles Kings, and this is where things start to get a little dicey for the Dallas Stars. Yeah. Because based on the Los Angeles Kings essentially being similar in nature to the Chicago Blackhawks of the last 6 or 7 years. At least when it comes to playoff time, and at least when it comes to Western Conference final appearances, I have the Kings winning in 6 games. I would love to see the Dallas Stars in their victory green go on to the Stanley Cup Final and really compete. But I don't see it this year. Might see it next year if they keep the right pieces in place, which it looks like they very well will have that. It just seems that momentum at this point, once the Kings go on a tear in the playoffs, they go hard to the paint, to the court, whatever.
They go hard in the fourth quarter in a 3-period hockey game.
They just, they make it 5 periods, and it's awesome. But the Stars, again, you want to talk about a young team. They have that mixture of experience and inexperience, but they haven't been quite as far as often as the Kings have in recent years.
I think a hard part too there is Tyler Seguin, because as we talked about earlier,
comes back, hey, they'll be great.
True.
If he doesn't come back,
provided he
someone else goes down.
Provided he
Jimmy
doesn't
Ben
need
gets
time
hurt, their season's
to
gone.
get back healthy.
Exactly.
Get back into playing condition. I have Anaheim beating technically San Jose. I don't have LA getting out of my first round, but I do have Anaheim playing Dallas and then beating them to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Again, it's that the special teams, both power play and penalty kill, as well as just their defense as a whole. Dallas has a great offense, but I don't think it's anything compared to the Anaheim D. Anaheim is a very good team on the special team, and I think that's really what gets them to the Cup Final.
Moving back to the East, where everything's a beast. Okay, I was trying to preview that Braden Holt beast would be in the Eastern Conference Final. I have the Washington Capitals going against the New York Islanders. Now that I look at it on paper, this is the worst thing that could happen in hockey, at least for the shouldn't be a hockey arena, Barclays Center, because it's not a hockey arena. But anyway, Washington Capitals, this is the only other sweep I'm predicting. Because it might be anticlimactic because it's, Eastern Conference Final. You expect something to be exciting. It will be exciting if you're a Capitals fan. I have them winning 4-0, and the New York Islanders will be laid to rest for this season.
Yeah.
And that you talked about Washington starts going on a tear. Well, by that point, momentum will be in their way. They should be on cruise control until the final battle meets in the Stanley Cup Final.
Mm-hmm.
You, on the other hand,
I have Florida making it through the Atlantic Division bracket. Again, though, it's Washington. It's all about Holtby. It's all about Ovi. Even though this is a fun fact, though, if Florida is the one to make it to the Eastern Conference Final, Florida actually beat Washington in the regular season series 2-0-1. 2 wins, 1 overtime loss. I don't think it's going to carry much weight that late into the postseason, but who knows? They might be able to use some of that intel from those 2 wins. That being said, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Washington's got to make it to the finals.
So in the 2016 Stanley Cup Final, I am predicting that the Washington Capitals and the Los Angeles Kings will face off in the Battle of the Century. Unfortunately, President's Trophy doesn't always mean Stanley Cup. Now, don't come back and fight me about my words that I'm about to say, but I think that your 2016 Stanley Cup champions will be the Los Angeles Kings, and they will win it in 7 games. I will not be mad if the Washington Capitals win and prove me wrong because of that Game 7, that 7th game that I'm hoping will at least get to triple overtime, because then if the Capitals win, I wouldn't really care. I would say I got the 2 final teams right and ultimately don't care who wins, because at that point, I'd probably be covering that game and we would want to go to bed. But, the cup is a cup. It's awesome because it's a cup.
I have Anaheim making it to the Stanley Cup Final against the Washington Capitals. And once again, I also have a Pacific Division team, the division that we made fun of literally all year for being not very good. I have that Pacific Division team, the Anaheim Ducks, winning the Stanley Cup. It's another long stretch, but again, I hate to keep going back to it, but those special teams are ridiculous for the Ducks, and I think that can be a difference maker for them if they were to play Washington. I know a lot of people are picking Washington to win the Stanley Cup. They were picking them in August, maybe even July, but
or on draft day in June.
basically, and basically going off that too, just like you were saying, I would not be surprised if Washington won. That's not what these predictions are saying.
I kind of want that to.
I don't. But
if you ask me right now, I'd say that the Kings would win it just based on how I create my bracket. But if you ask me when the Stanley Cup Final begins, when Washington's there, I'd probably change my answer and say, oh, Washington's got this in the bag. I wouldn't say they've got it in 4 games, depending on their matchup. Mm-hmm. But it would totally be something that, hey, they got everything going right, as long as they don't get injuries. Because that's the wild card here.
I think the special teams in Anaheim's defense, though, are just they're good enough to be able to take care of whatever Ovi can throw at them. I think it'll be a lot of tight games if those are what happens. But I think that, again, like you're saying, a Game 6, Game 7, whatever ends up being, another tight one. But I think the Ducks could come out on top of that season series and come home with another Stanley Cup.
So with that, prior to recording this, we made our picks. But I'm going to just on the spot. So you got Washington, LA, and Anaheim. Excuse me. Wow. Washington and Anaheim in the Stanley Cup Final.
Yes, sir.
Who do you have as your Conn Smythe Trophy winner?
I do not know. I couldn't tell you it right now.
Well, you said the Ducks would win. Typically, it comes from a winner. Last time the MVP of the Stanley Cup Final, Stanley Cup Playoffs, was from a losing team was, well, again, didn't look this up before the podcast, so don't know offhand.
If the Ducks win, if the Capitals win, it's
you could just
Ovechkin.
say Corey Perry, and
See, I am kind of leaning towards Corey Perry.
Or Ryan Kessler, just someone that.
No, I'm leaning
Ryan
towards Corey
Getzlaff,
Perry. He's
Frederick
a
Anderson.
beast. How about Teemu Solani?
Teemu Solani, yeah, he's gonna win it just from watching in the stands every night.
I'll go Corey Perry. I think he'll rise to the occasion and he'll be the man to put the Ducks over the edge.
And I will go with Anze Kopitar.
That's a good pick. I like that.
Because that seems very safe. It's either going to be him or for some miraculous reason they might give Drew Doughty the Conn Smythe Trophy because they'll feel bad about not giving him the Norris Trophy. But that's for another day. Probably in a couple of months when we start talking about awards. Well, I'm out of breath now.
Yeah, we just went through close to, actually a little bit over 2 months of hockey.
Yeah.
Pretty good at this.
We time traveled. Congrats, LA.
Or Anaheim. Or probably Washington. I mean, they're
probably
a very good
realistically
team.
Washington.
They're a very good team.
I think the great thing about this is we're all like, yeah, we're going to do this, but we're going to be wrong, ultimately.
Just as wrong as
we're
every
choosing
other-
to be wrong right now so that we can say, oh, look how idiotic we were.
My favorite thing is nobody gets an NCAA bracket right, and this is way fewer teams, and we're still not going to get this right.
Oh, yeah. But I think NCAA bracket is so much easier. Just know that, okay, one's going to be upset, this one's going to be upset. This is kind of like,
I mean, this
seeds
isn't even,
don't mean anything.
Because this isn't even in
anymore.
the NBA. I mean, upsets are much more regular occurrences in the NHL postseason. So who knows? Maybe Philadelphia will surprise us, huh? Maybe. Are we allowed to be optimistic?
Or the Florida Panthers going to walk away with the cup.
Hey, man, I've got to go into my Eastern Finals.
I mean, it has been like 20 years since they were last in the Stanley Cup Final.
That's right.
Oh my God, did we just actually come out with a real winner?
I doubt it.
You doubt it?
I don't.
Okay, well, it would be cool to see Jaromir Jagr go out on top.
I don't think Luongo could put it together that long.
Wow.
It's the truth.
Al Montoya, just start him.
There we go. He's actually pretty good, man. I like him.
Anyway, so we've almost made it 35 minutes into this podcast, which would coincide with, the 35 pounds of the Stanley Cup and all that jazz.
Look at that. Poetry.
I've been keeping track of the time, trying to do that intentionally, just to see if there's anyone nearly as crazy as me that sees numbers like that and goes, oh, that makes me think of this. But now I'm just rambling. And I think it's a good time to say that we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Actually, that's a lie. This is dropping Wednesday. So we'll see you sometime later next week, probably like Friday or Saturday at our normal time on the Down to the Frozen River podcast. Look at that, almost 35 minutes now. Alongside Connor Keith, I'm Nick Lanciani. Catch you next time. Enjoy round one of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll have game recaps every night, every day, whenever games end. If they go into overtime, we'll have them up as soon as we can get them up. Enjoy your playoff action.